glad to hear I'm an alcoholic. Yeah. Glad to be here in Aberdeen. I think somebody about to shoot me or something. Looks kind of like a pistol, you know what I mean? Y'all might not have seen that before I have. A little scary, you know what I mean? All right. I'll get my thoughts here. It's good to be here in Aberdeen. It's where I got service, where I grew up, right here. And not my first Alcoholics meeting, but Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. But when I got out of my first treatment center, I come to this building. That's when I was 17 years old, and off and on for a lot of years. Before it finally stuck, you know what I mean? It wasn't Alcoholics Anonymous, turns out, because I thought that's what it was, you know what I mean? This thing don't work. Turns out you got to do a few things if you want to get sober, you know what I mean? They lay all that out for you. They hide it in the book, you know. And normally you can't do it yourself either. You got to ask somebody to help you, you know. Can't do your own interpretation. That was also a problem. So, had to fit a lot of pieces together before I finally got it all right, so to speak. Try to do it like they asked me to do it, you know, the Alcoholics Anonymous way. And turns out, hey, this thing does work. You know what I mean? My sobriety date's April 29th of 2007. Had several sobriety dates before that, but I really consider my sobriety really started in 2006 here. You know, that's really the first period when I really tried to commit to really doing Alcoholics Anonymous. Finally got a sponsor, you know, and started working steps, and hey, it worked then too. But I mean, I got my life back together, and what I found out was you can give me everything that I want, and I'll get drunk right beside it. You know what I mean? So, because I'll start putting all those things in front of my sobriety, and that was a valuable lesson. So that's why I really consider that last relapse and that period from 2006 to early 2007 is just a vital piece of my sobriety. I needed to be shown that, you know what I mean, that it wouldn't, not having all that stuff is why I kept drinking, you know. I mean, I kept drinking because I was an alcoholic, you know, and I'll do it again. You know what I mean? If I quit doing the things that I've been taught to do, and I'll try to keep in fit spiritual condition, I'll get drunk again. There's no question about that, and I need to remember that's why I keep coming back. Home group is old time structure group in Rockingham. Moved up there, work up there now. So we meet on Wednesday night at the Colony, Samaritan College Treatment Center at 8 o'clock on Wednesday night and on 7 o'clock on Sunday night. You guys come join us. Love to have you. All right. I was born in Wagram, North Carolina. Since we're close by, some of you know where Wagram is, right? Up in a little town there in Scotland County. And I think I was telling somebody before, you know, people ask me about it. You know them? I'm like, they're probably good people. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not ringing a bell. You know what I mean? Population 900. I don't know them if they're good, you know. I know all the thugs, though, I assure you. And they know me. All right. So anyway, but I moved from there. But I was going back, don't worry. I moved from there when I was probably about a year old. My dad, mom and dad moved us here to Aberdeen. Grew up right here in Aberdeen until I had to go later on. But yeah, grew up right here in Aberdeen, man. It was really, I had a great childhood. You know, it didn't look that way a lot of times, but I mean, it was really just blessed. You know what I mean? To have the family I had, which come to pay off later on down the road, you know what I mean? Because without that kind of love and strength from them, I wouldn't be here. That's real simple. You know, I mean, I wouldn't be here for a lot of different reasons. I'd either be in my little cage that they always put me in, or I'd be dead. You know, one of those two. Those people were always right there for me, no matter where I was at. You know, whatever institution I was in, whatever, they'd go. No matter how far they had to travel, they were there every week. And you know, without that, I don't see me coming out of this deal. But I come to find out, I don't know as much as I think I do. You know what I mean? Who knows? But mom and dad worked really hard. Just good old, you know, salt of the earth kind of people. Went to work every day. I had great examples of what, you know, a good man, a good woman does. You know, again, just right down the line. You know, good mom's a good Christian woman. My dad, he finally caught up a little later on. Now, he beat us in the car to go to church, you know what I mean? that all kind of went down the drain when we were together alone. You know what I mean? Like, Dad, I don't believe that's what that guy was talking about. But Mom, she was straight on it from day one, boy. She'd read the Bible to us, you know what I mean, at night. And me and my brother and my dad be there too most of the time because he's a solid family man. There's no question about that. But you know, so we had all those things. I was exposed to, anyway. Like I say, great childhood, but there seemed to be something wrong with me. You know, just had problems like right from the beginning. I mean, I know I was born with the disease of alcoholism, and there's no question about it. You know, I mean, I needed a drink like in the bottle, the baby bottle. You know, and my grandmother helped me out with that occasionally, but yeah, and those are the people that I'm talking. Those are the folks that I certainly got all their genetics, and they're all passed away now. The last uncle, he just my dad's brother, and they all died of alcoholism. My dad, the whole side of his family, you know, males and females, died of alcoholism. But I got to visit that guy at the hospital. Matter of fact, I left a meeting here one night, and it went and started probably about a year ago now. And man, he was just, you know, dying of alcoholism is a bad way to go. You know, it ain't nothing pretty about it. Swelled up like he's a pretty skinny man, but he was just swelled up 3 times his normal size. You know, but anyway, I got to see him that night and talk with him. He told me he was proud of me. And me and that guy been through a lot. I was glad I got to do that. All right, so let's go through the childhood before I get into all the tears, because it was pretty crazy. You know what I mean? I didn't need alcohol to be too wild. There was something wrong with me. I'm telling you, it was like, and we kind of know, you know, because you look at everybody else, particularly, you know, I mean, I tell in my story sometimes I got asked to leave 3 daycares. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't even got into school yet, and they're telling my dad, don't bring him back. You know what I mean? don't bring him back. He's not nice. You know? Yeah. I mean, you know, the guys, you know, like I say, when I was younger, I mean, early back as I can remember, I wanted to be around my uncles, my dad's people up in they stayed up in Scotland County, you know, grew up farmers, not only his uncles or his brothers, but his uncles, you know, my great uncles. And man, those guys were, they were just like legendary to me, you know, and just liquor drinking, knife wielding, gun shooting, you know what I mean? Just, man, I was just so attracted to that stuff. And I always share that because, again, I'm talking, I was not going to miss experiencing everything alcoholism has to offer, brother. I mean, a team of horses weren't going to keep it happening, and you weren't going to beat it out of me, you weren't going to scare it out of me, because if scaring it out of me, I would have got that a long time back, because one of my earliest memories is my grandfather cutting my grandmother right down her back, you know what I mean? And that's not good stuff. I mean, that's alcoholism, right? That's what my dad grew up in, and you know, I remember him getting there that night. I was probably about 4 or 5 years old. I remember him coming in there and sticking that gun to his dad's head, you know, and telling him if he ever touches his mama again, he's gonna blow his goddamn head off, you know, and my dad didn't. That stuff ought to kind of freak you out a little bit, but I was attracted to being out there, you know. I mean, it didn't steer me off at all. This was going to happen, you know. Going to school, you know, when it's like I say, when I know something's wrong, you know, just this spiritual void or just something is missing, you know. I watch I can still see those kids going in and out of their classrooms, you know, right there at Aberdeen Elementary School, right over here. And it just looked like everybody knew what they were doing, you know what I mean? What they were supposed to do, what was going on, and I'm like, this ain't gonna be good, you know. I got to get out of here, you know. I mean, that's the way I got to get out of here. Get me back home, you know what I mean? I got to do well around myself and just those few others, you know what I mean? But it was way too overwhelming with all those other kids. And find out if you act out, I think they call it now. Back then, it's just hitting the dude in the face, you know what I mean? And they'll get you out of there, you know, they'll get you out of there. You spend a lot of time in the principal's offices and that kind of thing, and which really just become normal business. I just couldn't. I like the way a grand sponsor puts it, you know what I mean? It's like that line, I can't go stand on it. You know what I mean? It seems like everybody else is all right with standing on that line, but it's something in me, I got to move off of that thing. You know, I just cannot conform for some reason. And anyway, just lots of trouble, caused a lot of, you know, me and my dad had a pretty rocky deal, you know what I mean? Because he was going to beat some sense into me, right? I mean, you're going to do right. I remember him saying, you know, I can handle a few of the grades, but you're going to act like you got some sense. I mean, that's the way we put it, you know. And of course, I'd have an F on conduct every time. You know, I don't even know if they give conduct grades back then, but I sure wish they wouldn't have. Because I had an F every time. And man, that guy, oh, you could see the vein like about the size of my thumb come out in his head. And I knew, I mean, you know, again, this is every 6 weeks. It ain't nothing new, you know what I mean? I'm gonna get my mouth folded back. And I'm gonna get up and say, all right, that's over, you know. And we got 6 more weeks, you know. Hey, that's fun. That's kind of how it is. It's just you take your medicine, right? And I know my brother used to beg. I mean, really. I mean, I'm from a little kid that all threw up. You know, my brother was a great brother. I mean, this guy just tried to take care of him, and he would have some sit downs with me. You know, like, Pat, this guy's want to kill you. You know, you don't do that. You gotta do this. You know what I mean? And he tried to protect me, but like I say, there's a little something wrong. You know, and I probably took my first drink of alcohol. I don't know, somewhere around, again, my grandmother would give us sips in there at early ages, you know. I remember before, you know, she'd let us sit in her lap and drive, and she'd have old tall Budweiser, you know, and me or my brother want to be sitting on her lap driving down the 501. I mean, back when we were 6, 7, 8 years old, you know, we didn't have a problem driving. We got 16, we were driving it before we were 10, you know, and just some great times where I thought, you know, and of course it was always very important that we not let my mother know how this was all going, you know. Again, grandma would make sure now don't tell your mama, or dad for that matter, but don't tell your mama now, we can keep doing this. We can keep doing this. So we learned to keep secrets, you know, keep secrets with none of their business. And had some great times with those folks. I took my first drink probably again like about 10 or 11, maybe a little bit younger than that. But anyway, I'd stole the 3 beers that I got from my dad, and I had to steal those one at the time, you see, because if he'd have known that they were missing, they'd have been a problem. So I would just steal them one at a time, and they was those slits pull tab, and I'd buried them out behind the building, and I went out there one day, I could still see that Delta 88 pulling out of the driveway. I say that all the time, I could still see it, the old charcoal gray 88 going out of the yard. Boy, here's my opportunity, you know. And I went and popped that slits open, and it wasn't good, you know what I mean? I mean, it's nasty. It just, I'm like, wow, how do they drink this stuff? As I'm pulling up another swallow, you know what I mean? Hey, that's what I little difference between alcoholism and drug addiction. There ain't a lot. It's still the disease, but you got to work to be alcoholic. I mean, there's some pain. There's some pain to go through. You know, you just pop a pill and hell, here comes the bug. You know, alcohol, you got to puke a few times, you know, headache, wake up in the ditch, all kind of good stuff. But, you got to go through a few things, you know. But somehow, again, this like intuitively, right? I knew something was in that can I needed. And obviously I wasn't drinking for the taste because I knew it was nasty from the first swallow I ever took of it, you know. And, but all I remember about that, drinking those 3 beers, and I did drink all 3 of them. I ain't never left too much alcohol laying around. So what I knew after that was I'm going to start that again. I'm going to steal 3 more beers and bury them in the same spot, you know. And so again, I think I was born with this disease. I mean, when I get that stuff in me, my stop button doesn't work too good, and I need more of it, you know. Getting through, you know, sports was a big part of my childhood. Loved it. I mean, loved to compete, and actually I'm learning more and more about that as time goes on. Like, I have a problem with this competition thing, you know what I mean? It's and I was thinking the other day, my handwriting's terrible. You know, they used to give you grades. Did they still give grades on handwriting? I wish they wouldn't do that. Because it was, I mean, it was terrible. My handwriting was bad, and it always was, but I was damn fast. You know what I mean? And I remember, like, I was just thinking the other day about it because I'd slow down. I'm like, man, this looks terrible. I got to try to do better. You know, and I'd take my time, and I'm like, well, that looks pretty good. And I started thinking back. I mean, like when you first grade or whatever, I remember taking, writing down what the teacher's doing, and this guy still can kind of hear it. That guy's pencil hitting the table before mine did. I'm like, what? Oh, okay, that ain't gonna happen again. You know what I mean? And so the next time it's time to write, I got a little faster and make sure he heard my pencil. You know what I'm saying? How about that? Yeah. How about that? Yeah. We can take this outside if you like. You know what I mean? Hey, my teachers had fun. I'm trying to tell you, dude, it was ugly. But and for real, that's exactly how it went down. I assure you. And so it was always this competition. All through like junior high school and stuff, boy, when there was notes to be taken, I was going to get those notes down quicker than anybody else. Now, I'm not going to look at them ever again. I'm not going to study them, you know what I mean? But I'm going to write them down faster than anybody in the class will. And that's why the handwriting. It's because, when you start off learning something a certain way, it ain't like it goes away. That's how you learn it. So anyway, more is revealed as time goes on. How screwed up I am, But, sports, just love to compete. That's where I felt at home at. Was like, baseball was a big thing, and then eventually wrestling come in there. And I remember just being so obsessed. I didn't have alcohol or any other substance at that time, so that was my fix. I just can see the patterns. It consumed every waking moment, I was thinking about it. I was always working on my game, and just spent hours and hours and hours. Just tearing the garage up, throwing tennis balls and hitting the tennis balls, and I used to love to hit rocks, and my dad didn't like that because I try to hit the rocks into the garden. It's pretty, tells you a lot about the kind of guy I was, I throw them up and hit them. It turns out it's a good way to get your hand-eye coordination because I could hit that thing with you can give me a broomstick and I can hit a pebble, It's pretty good for you. But Dad didn't like it because not all of them would get to the garden, and they would land in his yard, and when he cuts grass, he busts his lawnmower blades up, and then he busts me up, and he'd come. This was an every Saturday drill, Clank, clank, clank. T.D., where's Pat? Running me down, and there I am, boy. You got to catch me. I ain't never been one to just stop and take a beat, You got, and him yelling the whole time. When I catch you, I'm like, good luck. You got to come home. Maybe not, Maybe not. Let me go call Grandma. But, anyway, this is how I got him, and it's kind of funny. My brother, he wasn't happy about this one. It was ugly. He's going to beat me every Saturday anyway, Because this goes on. I can't knock every rock in the garden, and I'm unwilling to stop hitting rocks, So this beating will continue. So I decided let's go make it worthwhile. I got me a big rock, and I strategically placed it, Because I know when it gets close to our basketball goal, you got to swing around it. You know what I mean? And you ain't paying attention to what's over here when you're swinging around the goal. So anyway, hey, I put some thought into this, And boy, here comes Saturday, and sure enough, he's cutting grass out there. And my brother, we were all at the top of the yard, and me and Mike were, and I looked over there because he's making them laps, boy. He's getting closer to I told my brother, I said, listen, Mike, listen. He said, no, you didn't, man. He just gave me that look like, come on. And no, it sounded like the lawnmower come apart. You know what I mean? Hey, it didn't did it. It stopped it. You know what I mean? Bam! You know what I mean? Oh, my God, that was ugly. But again, I was going to get it anyway, so might as well hey, I need to get mine too. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how it was. This was going to be bad, going forward. And, I always did all right in school as far as grades. Thank goodness you didn't have to study much because the material wasn't very difficult. But as time went on, that started getting me a little more in trouble. You'd have to put a little time in on some studying. It's when you're taking the test and that's the first time you've actually seen the information, you automatically, the time you look at it, like, D-A-B, at least I'll be quick about it, So anyway, we had a lot of fun in school, had a lot of fun. And then, but, getting into high school, that's when it kind of really took off for me, the drinking. Now, before that, I was already looking for, by the time I was 12, I was already drinking on a pretty regular basis. You know, I had friends that their parents drank, and they wasn't as strict as mine were, right? So me and them became good friends, and I'd stay over at their houses a lot. And so I was always looking for that, let me get out of here so I can do what I want to do. So I stayed over at a lot of folks' houses, and usually that was all related to being able to sneak a buzz here and there, you know. Getting into high school, it kind of took off as it does, because there's a little more freedom, you know. You're getting out, and particularly once those driver's license come along, it was over, you know. But you know, high school, probably over about halfway through my ninth grade year is where I started drinking on a daily basis. We'd go get a pint of liquor every morning, and I'd keep it somewhere on me, you know. If the winter time, I'd always have it in my jacket, or I'd put it, you know, in a book bag. There wasn't books in the bag, you know. I mean, there's plenty of room for liquor. But yeah, and I drink that pint. It just made school. I wouldn't go. Had to miss that first part of the day though, because the liquor store was at 9, you know, and they won't change the school schedule. You know, so obviously you had to miss a little bit, and that runs into problems with mom and dad. Time I got my license, you know, I didn't have my license but a couple weeks before I had my first DWI, but I'd already had a couple, I forget what they call them, but anyway, you're drinking alcohol. You ain't blowing drunk, right, but you're drinking alcohol behind the wheel at underage. So I had a couple of those. Turns out money can get that thrown away, but they didn't do that with those DWIs. Got a couple of those. This is when I'm going out to drink with I went to the Sand Hills area a lot, you know, hanging out with my uncles, my grandmother. I mean, we'd go hit he'd take me to the good honky tonks up in, toward the state line where there's going to be some great entertainment, you know, no singers or anything. yeah. There's going to be some fireworks though. Yeah, and man, I was just attracted to that stuff, and those guys could really get down. Now, I mean, I'm telling you, my Uncle Jim, this guy probably best, and I've seen some fights. I mean, he's probably the best fighter I've ever seen. I mean, I was just so, it was like watching an artist work, you know what I mean, for real. This guy was as strong as a mule, just old country boy, and I mean, this dude flat knocked people out, brother, you know, and do it in a hurry. I was just so attracted to that stuff, watching them, so. Yeah, we got to see a lot of good action, and the trouble really started to mount up. You know, the wrestling thing. I mean, I had a lot of success with it, pretty good with it. Probably could have got some scholarships if, you know what I mean. I would have went to school. So I had to leave the school. They finally kicked me out for fighting. We had a series of fights, and they finally had enough and expelled me. So anyway. Went off to work, and within a year of being expelled from school, this is like my 17 at this time, and I got into some other things, and so I found that if alcohol with some other things, and I'm a stimulant guy, you know, I don't like to fall out, I like to go fast, and so I could do this like for days. I mean, I could drink for days on this stuff, literally, and that run me into a lot of problems because it cost a lot of money to do that, what I was doing. And so I had to start doing some criminal activity and bringing a lot of, I remember the embarrassment to my family, you know, when this stuff hits the papers, you know what I mean, because it wasn't just, the DWIs were already there. That was already embarrassing enough on them. But, you know, when these much more significant charges start coming, you know, the felonies and stuff, it was getting pretty bad, you know. Facing a lot of prison time. So I went off to my first treatment at 17, so this kind of started the road. And I remember that, some important things I remember about that first treatment center. And one of them was when I was in the detox portion, because I got prepared for detox, right? I mean, I got prepared for treatment, and I was a qualifier when I got there. And so they put me off into my room there, and they gave me a big book. First time I'd ever seen that book. Well, I might have saw it with Dr. Clark. I missed that part. I'd already been seeing a few doctors before then. They were trying to figure out what's wrong with this guy. But got to that first treatment center, and I remember going into that group that first time, and I mean, there's some guys that look like my kind of people. You know what I mean? The old rough-looking biker guys, some good old boys, some old good country boys, you know, and they looked like my people until they started talking, you know, and I'm like, something is wrong here. I mean, they're doing something to them. That's what hey, for real, that's what I said. I said, I mean, this old biker dude is rough, and next thing you know, he just bails out crying, and I'm like, holy crap. I said, oh no, they're not going to get me. You know what I mean? How you feel today, Pat? I feel like going home, okay? Yeah, that's how I feel. No more questions, please. But anyway, that treatment center that last got tossed out of there too. I'm good at getting tossed out of places. But it seems they have a drug policy at treatment. Yeah, I violated it. Anyway, so I go home and again faced a lot of time in jail. So anyway, I finally get to. I stayed in legal trouble. Okay, I had a reserved seat at either courthouse. Right, some days you have one in Superior and District. Just spent a lot of time, and my dad spent a lot of time up there with me, and a whole lot of money, and he had gotten a good job by that time, so thank goodness, because again I'd probably still be there, but run into again just in and out of trouble. Finally got to prison. Started out there at Polk Youth Center and 21, turned 22 while I was there. Come down to McCain, White Lake. Hell, I took the tour of the state. You know what I mean? Because when I'm in jail, I act like I'm in jail. No need to start behaving at this point, right? So they move you around. I mean, to bounce y'all around. Some of y'all might know something about like Sandy Ridge, probably. Like herding cattle in that joint, Moving day is never fun, Man, that's a long day. Ain't that right, Lonnie? Yeah. It's a long day. So anyway, I was experiencing all that. Multiple treatments there in my late teens. Again, getting into my early 20s. Like back to back. Like seems like every year I was back in treatment again. And after that first one, the rest of them, I mean, I was asking for help. I mean, I was really out there. Drank every day of my life. I mean, drinking heavy amounts, of alcohol and these other chemicals. And so I was kind of wasting away, even at those ages. I wouldn't eat, wouldn't take care of myself. And so when I get to these places, I'd really be wanting help. I mean, I'd be begging these people, I mean, just crawling in those places. And man, I'd get better quick. That turns out to have been a problem, like, you come in there knocking on death's door, they rush you off to the hospital because your blood pressure is 220 over whatever, and 3 days later I'm bouncing around there like I own this place, running a card game in the back, Yeah, pitching quarters, they're in there trying to save my life, and I'm good. Appreciate the help though, I mean, because I was in trouble, Thank y'all so much. But I wasn't listening to none of the message. I never did buy that I had a disease. I kind of knew what was wrong with me. I just wasn't no good. You know what I mean? I was weak, couldn't handle my liquor like some folks that I would see could. I just wasn't no good. You know what I mean? And eventually I kind of come to that. The brain tries to make sense of things, and that's the way it was for me. I mean, I remember thinking this. I was sitting up at my grandmother's on in my mid-20s. I said, well, I guess it's, God made some good people and he made some bad ones. I mean, you got to have both. And it's pretty evident which side of the fence I fell on, And so it's kind of like that hopelessness was starting. That's what that is. When a man starts doing that kind of comparisons, he's getting to the hopeless stage. He's trying to make sense of this misery he's living in. Man, a lot of crazy events, in my drinking in the 20s. I mean, it just got uglier and uglier and uglier. And I'm not going to get into all of the stories. The last few years of my drinking, particularly that last year, man, I mean, nobody should have to experience that kind of pain. I mean, like that. Just, and it's like my brain had checked out. I mean, that's the way I remember it back. It's just living in darkness, It's and I think I think that's the brain's way of trying to keep you alive. Because if you'd have had to take all that in, there's no way I wouldn't have eaten a bullet. I mean, I just couldn't have stood it. And the things you're doing, the people that you're hurting, and of course the most of that was family, But that last year, I'd already graduated from borrowing $20 from me. You know what I mean? We were going to take big amounts of money, and people just don't hand you big amounts of money. You got to actually take it, and people get hurt that way. And got to experience watching what it's like to watch life leave a person. You know what I mean? On a couple times I saw that. And it's just this darkness. Now, I try to describe this to people. It's just incredible, that spiritual deadness that you get. So I like the way kind of Mark talks about, that absence of God. I mean, brother, there wasn't none in me, and it ain't because I didn't want it to be. It's just this disease's progression is, hey, buddy, we were either about to do something or it's all over. One or the other. That's where I was at there about 2006 there. And finally, my dad got me over to we went over to Samaritan Colony again, and I'd already been through Samaritan Colony before, and I knew something was special about that place. Even the first time I go, now you couldn't tell me nothing the first time I go, but I certainly respected Harold Pearson, who was the director at that time. I mean, I liked the way that guy talked to me, and I mean, he didn't pull no punches with me, and I like that, But he did it in a loving way. It's just like you knew the guy's doing that because he wants your hard-headed self to get better. You just knew it. And so, getting back over there, my dad, we rode over there, and he finally, after laying down the several requirements for me to do to get back in there because I didn't behave well the first time. And I, of course, said yes to all of that, and it got through treatment. It was awful. Now, the bed was a week from then, and I didn't make it. I could not make it more than 2 days. 3 days maybe, but usually it was like that 48 hours, and I could not make it. I'd have to go drink, and so that's what I did, and some kind of divine intervention happened that morning in June in 2006 when I got to the colony that day. I mean, that's when something happened, and all I know is it's not anything I produced, so really some sort of miracle happened that day for real to get me there, because I'd already been up 4 days. And I didn't have no plans of making treatment that morning, until about 5 o'clock that morning, something hit me and said, man, today's the day you're supposed to go to Samaritan, and I had, there was some crazy stuff that happened through that night, and man, I just remember sitting back on that recliner chair there, the trailer in East Rockingham, and I called my dad. I got a phone call my dad. I said, and asked him, could he pick me up and get me to treatment this morning? And he said, absolutely, I'll get you to treatment this morning. And so anyway, I went in there, man. I mean, I was looking rough, Jack. It wasn't pretty. Again, been up for 4 days, just ripping and running, and changed the sheets 3 times that first night in treatment there in 2006. I mean, just sweating, flipping and flopping like a fish. How I stayed there, I don't know. I mean, it's just I really needed to be in the, on some sort of locked ward. I mean, I wasn't stable. I mean, it was fairly dangerous to be around me at that time, and that's true. I mean, I ain't some big bad guy, but I mean, I'd hurt you. You know what I mean? So somehow I made it through that thing, and some hope started happening. And I remember just starting to listen. I mean, it's like, boy, once I got over that, probably 3 or 4 days into that deal, I started paying attention like I ain't never paid attention for in my life. I mean, I don't listen to what folks say. I started listening. I was writing notes. I mean, man, I was just hanging on every word these people said. Something had happened. I never do that. I mean, while they're teaching, I'm usually thinking about my little plans and designs. You know what I mean? How am I going to get this thing maneuvered back right? I won't think about none of that. They just won't know maneuvering left probably is what, but just something had happened. My whole thinking had switched to, I better listen to these damn people, and finally did. I got out there, got a sponsor. I've been to 9 treatment centers, probably 500 AA meetings up until this point, and I certainly had never asked nobody to sponsor me, and I ain't even asked you for help, first of all. I probably asked some folks at the hospital for help because I was about to die. But once I get better out of treatment and coming in here, I wasn't asking nobody for nothing. Matter of fact, I'd sit back here, and I remember sitting in those back seats through the years when I was in my teenage years, just talking, just garbage about whoever was talking, you know what I mean? Well, it's whatever, we're going to get into that. But just something had happened then. And I finally, I went to the halfway house here in Aberdeen, got me I knew I had to get a sponsor, but that's a tough thing for some people, to ask somebody for help like that, particularly another man, that's just something that's tough for some of us. But I did it, and I asked this guy to help me, Frank right here, and man, that guy, and I told him, I said, look, and I'd already gotten an active prison sentence the day I got out of treatment, and it was 2-year sentences, and he didn't do it consecutive, you know what I mean? Or concurrently. That's the word we like to hear if you've been in the courthouse a whole lot. We're waiting on that concurrent, right? Yeah. He didn't do that. he gonna make me do both of them, you know? Something about beating that probation officer's ass, I guess. I don't know. But, yeah, I didn't have no friends, Mike. Didn't have no friends up there. But, and that judge that day, that's a pretty interesting too. I mean, that kind of strikes stuff in you, you know, you think I'm, you know, just some DWIs, right? Or just, I mean, they didn't catch me for the big stuff I done, not in a long time, you know. I mean, if they'd known what was really going on, again, we wouldn't be here. But, I mean, that judge telling me, and this was July, it was July, right, early July when I got out of treatment, and I got that judge said, he said, "You're the most dangerous person I've had in this courtroom this year." I'm like, dude, that's a DUI, you know what I mean? But anyway, no, I didn't do all that, but I thought, I mean, it was striking to me. I'm like, surely y'all have had some murder cases here this year, you know, something. But that's what it said to me, and that's why he didn't give me the concurrent. He run those things because of my record, you know what I mean? They put house arrest bracelets on me, I cut them off, you know what I mean? I'll do all right till I take a drink, and it just so happens I'm going to take a drink pretty quick, you know, so, and I'm off and running again. And that guy just saw how that had all played out, you know, and so that's where it all come from. And the deal is, I didn't like, normally I would think, you know, I'd have something to say, probably under my breath, but it has something to do with wanting him dead. But I didn't do none of that, man. The guy was telling me that, and I'm like, yeah, you know, just, yeah. Whatever, dude. I know where I'm supposed to be. You know, I didn't come here to get out of jail. I knew I was supposed to be in jail. Supposed to have been there a long time ago. But we appealed that so I could go back to halfway house and try to get some stability going. That's what that was all about. That appeal wasn't so I could get out of something. I mean, again, nobody was on my side. I knew I was going to prison. So anyway, that's when I'd asked Frank to sponsor me, and I told him, you know, I said, look, man, I'm just going to be here for a few months. Whenever I get to Superior Court, you know, I'm going to have to go do this two-year sentences. And, you know, right after I told him that, he said, that's all right. We'll just start working the steps now. And wherever you at on Sundays, I'll be there and we'll finish them. And, man, I just like, all right, let's do it. You know, I was fine with that. Again, I wasn't trying to get out of no prison time. I wanted to make it. You know, if I go to prison like that day I went, I wouldn't have stood a chance. Because, again, I can do time. That ain't no big issue. I mean, I'm the biggest fool that's in there. You know, they don't think so. All they have to do is try it, you know. But I can't stay sober. You know what I mean? If that's all I would have done was reverted right back to that same way of my same mode of survival. The only thing I know how to do, I needed to get some sort of something else going. And that's what happened. You know, Frank, we met a lot in those, you know, those first several months. I mean, you know, usually a few times a week. And, man, I remember being so excited to work those steps. You know what I mean? I didn't even know what working those steps was, but, boy, I'd be excited when it was my day. You know what I mean? It was like, because he was sponsoring about 6 guys there. And I mean, I'd start trying to be a little manipulative, and because I'd feel like they might be getting more turns than I do, you know? And that's not going to happen, you know? We need to establish the food chain in here. You know what I'm saying? And I would certainly try to establish the food chain. And, of course, Frank would wham on back, Pat, that ain't how we do it. You know what I mean? That ain't how we do it in here. I'm like, you sure? I mean, because it makes sense to me. I mean, because you was with that bastard yesterday. You know what I'm saying? It's my damn turn today. But if you really want him, I got him locked up in his room back there. You know what I mean? Yeah. Anyhow, hey, it's fun getting sober, you know what I mean? I call it, it's a damn adventure, it's a journey, and what a great journey it's been since that time, I'm telling you, it's just been crazy. Again, had one more relapse. I needed that relapse. Now, I'm lucky that I woke up in the hospital from that 6 weeks later, thank God to my dad who loved me enough to come around a real dangerous person, you know, and dad or not dad, when I get where I was at the end of my deal, I mean, I was capable of doing whatever, you know what I mean? And like today ain't the day I'm going to the hospital. It might be tomorrow, but today's not today. And so I would threaten to kill or whatever, whoever that tried to intervene. So anyway, he did finally, because I was on the floor. I couldn't do nothing to fight. So he carried me to the car and got me up there again. But anyway, man, just come back and had to go off to treatment again, because that's the kind of, you know what I mean, I didn't need to hear it no more. But I absolutely had to have that place, you know what I mean. I know some other folks who are like that too, you know what I mean? I need somewhere to stay away from it for long enough to get it off of me, because I don't stand a chance unless you do that. I mean, believe you me, I have given every bit of effort in my body, and about 2 days is my limit, and I'll take off on you. And so anyway, we got out of there, and I mean, man, right back on these steps again. I was talking with my sponsor regularly, you know, and just so many friends I've made in here. I can look around here, and there's so many relationships I built in this room. As a matter of fact, you're the one who helped me be a decent person. It's like, because I didn't have, you know, you don't learn a lot the life I was living about how to be a good person, you know what I mean? I did have good models, like with my dad and but I've been so lost out in that world for so long. I remember things like, how do you have an argument? You know, it's like I see people arguing, it would get something going on with me. You know what I mean? It's like, somebody just crack them over the head. You know what I mean? What's going on? You know? But nobody's getting cracked in the head. And I'm like, damn, that's pretty cool. I mean, you know, they can disagree. Nobody gets hurt. You know, all right. I might need to pay attention to that part, you know. And of course, I learned when I was in school that, you know, that argument, you know, you take argument in English, right? Or at least I did, because it sounded like it should fit me well. I thought I'd do good in that class, you know. Of course, they told me it wasn't about winning. What? Somebody's got to win, don't they? I mean, it's an argument, for God's sake. But no, it's not, right? They got something good, you got something good, and let's see what works the best. Okay, all right. So anyway, nobody's got to get hurt, I find out, you know. The school process was an adventure. I got into school pretty quick, just to talk about, I don't get to talk about just the crazy and miraculous things that's happened to me since I got sober. You know, first of all, best thing I got going on, and that's today, is Alcoholics Anonymous. So people say all the time, it's the truth, you know what I mean? This man, again, not only with those steps, but of course that is our program, but it's just, I was, the speaker CDs, the tape, I mean, I was soaking up like a sponge. I mean, I wouldn't listen to radio, I say car, hell, I was on a scooter. I wasn't in a car to start with, you know what I mean? And I was happy, boy, hey, I had my scooter souped up too, you know what I mean? Hey, I had dad got the piston board out, you know what I mean? My scooter was right, Jack. Couldn't keep no belts on it though, because it's the motor is way more than the belt's supposed to hold, you know. So I just started keeping belts, because I'd rather go fast and just change the belt when I need to. You know? So yeah. But man, I mean, I just remember how happy was I to be there having that. You couldn't have told me that I could have been in a mansion with millions of dollars, and I wouldn't have been no happier, because it was awesome. I mean, I had a chance. It was just crazy. Are you kidding me? Incredible. I mean, this is just a miracle, you know. Again, this ain't nothing that we do. This is just what happens in Alcoholics Anonymous through these steps. It's just like you start taking this road, and it's a piece here and a piece there. I learned something from that one. I learned something from that one. Next thing you know, it's like, you know, this is kind of scary. What in the hell happened, you know? It's just everything is changing. I don't think like I used to think. Now sometimes I think a little bad, but it ain't nothing like it used to. I mean, are you kidding me? It was incredible, the way this journey went. Again, listen to those speaker CDs, and I was so hungry for sobriety. I was so hungry for this thing that I saw in some of you folks in here. And I mean, I know who you are too, buddy. I mean, I wanted what you had. That's just that peace that you had. It's like, no matter what come down, you wouldn't all stirred up. I mean, I overreact over everything, but you don't overreact over nothing. You know what I mean? Those are the people I wanted to be like. And I knew my avenue of getting it was going to be through this God deal, right? This spiritual relationship stuff. And I'd be listening to those tapes, and I'd come back. I'd be on my scooter and that helmet. I'd have to keep a lot of money, because I was scared to have money, because I might do something with it other than come over here to this meeting, you know. And so I remember buying like a $5 little tape player, and I put that thing on under my helmet. And that, again, I had it bored out, so it was loud, you know. It'd make all this noise, and so I couldn't hear the tape, you know. Again, it was a cheap player. And I remember, you know, I mean, so thinking I missed something. I mean, like if it were windy and with my scooter, I mean, I'd miss some things, you know what I mean? And I'd stop that thing right in the middle on the side of US 1, because I go back and forth to Richmond County every day back then on that scooter. I'd pull that scooter over and rewind that thing, because I thought I might have missed something. I mean, well, I did miss something, and I wasn't going to miss nothing. I mean, that's the difference. That's the indicators to me. You know what I mean? It ain't about, I might still talk rough. I'm going to make some mistakes, but that's all your man needs, is that willingness to to try to grow, right? Try to grow spiritually. And if he can do that, I believe we're well on our way. We're all human. We're going to make some mistakes. But, got into school. It's just something I knew I needed to do. When you just get, there's just like I call it a calling, right? It's just like something I knew that was the direction I needed to go. And that's what I did. Like I signed up for school, and now that was interesting, you know what I mean? Because my social skills are not good. They're not good now. They were absolutely awful then. And so we had some interesting moments in school, you know what I mean? And but it was a lot of fun. Had some jaws dropped on a few days. I always go back and think about it. I'm like, man, I wonder what them people thought about me in there, dude. You can't talk like that at school? Come on. I mean, good Lord. And it's like, hey, that's that up and down of that spirit, you know what I mean? Boy, and again, I'm going to meetings 2-3 times a day, working with my sponsor, and I'm in class, and I can feel like over a few days, and it's something about just talking, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, God, I'm going to lose it, you know? And we was in sociology class. It's kind of funny, you know what I mean? Hey, I'm sure it hurt the girl's feelings, and I had to make an amends, you know? But damn, she talked too much, you know? And I may just talk and asking questions that, hell, I can answer. You don't ask whoever. Anybody can answer that. But is there anyway, right in the middle of class, this is kind of, I don't have I got a better filter than I used to have, but it just like passes through the brain, and I figured, let's shoot, you know what I mean? And I asked her, I said, excuse me, are you married? She said, yeah. I said, I bet that dude's at home right now with a pistol in his mouth. Yeah. God's sake, shut up. You know what I mean? Hey, Bobby Allen was a teacher. Some of y'all might know Bobby. Bobby's over there like, okay, back to what we're doing. You know what I mean? Man, this lady's about to make me go crazy here. Anyway. There was other times that were also as funny, and particularly with the Old Testament class, you know what I mean? That was a real trip there. And I was having a less than spiritual day, and it was about the time of the Exodus, I guess, where they were talking about again. I wasn't all there that day. I wasn't feeling it, and God, the teacher, right? I guess he noticed I wasn't paying attention. Teachers will do that. He probably shouldn't have done it with me, though, you know. He gonna call on the one that ain't paying attention. I wasn't paying attention because I'm out in some crazy spot that you probably should have left me in, you know what I mean? And he says, Pat, how about you? Who was the emperor or whatever in 2000 BC, Egypt or whatever? I said, dude, I don't give a shit who the emperor was then or now. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it was mostly older ladies that went in there, and I'd have done anything for this. I looked over them ladies like, so I immediately, my sponsor done trained me like a dog. I immediately just make a group amends, you know what I mean? Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize for talking to you that way, and I'll try not to do that again. I've said that to so many people. I did that to the girl. I told my sponsor about the girl thing. He said, you know what you got to do. I'm like, oh, man. Can't I jump off a building or something? You know what I mean? I got to do that. But anyway, did it. I mean, hey, got that. I see that in the book, these, when we sincerely take this position, that third step position, remarkable things follow, dude. I mean, got that, graduated with that 2-year degree, and that was a big deal, and I'd already planned on going further at that point. And I mean, like with some great grades. I mean, pretty much all A's. I had some few things that were on from the past. I don't know why they hold that against me. I mean, I was drunk, you know what I mean? Like 91, dude. Can't we take that off? And they did take most of them off anyway. I didn't care about that. What I wanted the grades for, by the way, was for my parents. You know what I mean? All that time they said that you could do it. You know that's what that was about. I mean, of course, I got an ego, and it's the competitive stuff too. I mean, I need to do better than you do. It's that kind of thing. Yeah, I got all of that, but I remember with my dad. That's the first thing I do when I get to grade. I call my dad or my mom and say, got a 96. Just like a kid. You know what I mean? Wanting that approval and stuff. That was so cool. But anyway, going forward, right? went and got ended up getting a master's degree up at Hazelden, and that was just such a great experience working with those folks that I've been watching on tapes and treatment centers for years. You know what I mean? I get to meet a few of these folks and even work with a few of them, and get out and go to work at Samaritan College, treatment center up there that I went through twice myself, and a lot of you folks have gone through there. I can't even understand how this has worked. It's just like some kind of dream that you've been in. And, I remember when Harold he asked me to do this before I went off to Hazelden. And man, we sat there and cried for 30 minutes. I know. I couldn't get it out of my mouth. It's like, yeah, yeah, absolutely, I'll do that. And, coming on and getting the men I get to be around, thank God, because they know I ain't, all there. Mark knows I'm not all there, But we ain't not all there all together, you know what I mean? Somebody's doing all right at some point, But what we do know is Alcoholics Anonymous. We know some 12 steps, and we about to bring it to you, you know what I mean? There ain't no, let me skate through this treatment center, good luck. I ain't seen it happen yet, good luck. I get to be around guys like Mark. Really just a great man. And this guy's, just the effort he puts in. Harold Pearson, this guy's, that's his baby, you know what I mean? This guy's give everything there. Still, regular contact with Frank, my sponsor. This guy been there the whole time, and God knew who I needed, I needed that guy, Just so many of those people that's been around, got married, to an absolutely wonderful lady. This lady does AA like nobody I know. You know what I mean? She's straight. The way this program was built, one alcoholic working with another, she'll do it working 60 hours a week with a full college schedule. She is not going to miss a week of meeting with her sponsees. You know what I mean? Just that kind of commitment. I get to be around, those people and get to grow from that deal. And hey, the journey ain't over, right? It's just incredible where you can come from that. When I think about where I was at, sitting over there in Robinson County and East Rockingham, and the kind of things I was doing on a daily basis, and telling people that if you come with me, I hope you're ready to die, because I'm not. Again, I'm tired of $20. I'm going to where they got the damn stuff at, and I'm going to take it, And again, it's how you get from there, as lost as we are, to where we all are here, and then to see the miracles happen with other folks in here, it's this program, it's the whole deal, old Jim, the whole enchilada, right? Just every bit of it, the willingness to, I remember first getting sober and coming in here, and it's like, I was here at 6 o'clock, what else I got to do? Got nothing else to do. I ain't ready to walk downtown to see what's happening. I done seen what the hell's happening, and I grew up here, arrested 38 times here, I know what's going on. I was right here, just drinking coffee and talking with folks, trying to get sober like I was. And man, hey, this thing's awesome, man. Hey, if you're having trouble grasping this program, I'm telling you, the number one thing I did was when I asked Frank to sponsor me that day. That was it was like pushing through this big wall of fear, and it's like time I done that. And I remember what the guy said. He said, "What you doing tomorrow at 2 o'clock?" It's like, all of that just fell away, and I knew I was moving somewhere, But anyway, Lonnie, thank you for asking me to speak, and it's good to be here. Thanks.